The state of the Polish army's ammunition stockpile leaves much to be desired, according to the head of the National Security Bureau. I think we can, depending on how this battle is conducted, conduct this defense for a week or two at today's stock levels. Negligence in this area derails our country's defense capabilities. We should have a stockpile of ammunition that is sufficient for 6 months of fighting. This, as we know, does not exist, and this is the obvious negligence of the current government. The most difficult situation is with artillery ammunition of the largest calibers, 155 and 120 millimeters. A big problem in the production of such ammunition is signaled by employees of the manufacturer, Nitrochem, a company belonging to the Polish armaments group. The withholding of key investments and the reduction of production capacity, including 155mm ammunition, raises our serious doubts about the intentions and competence of those in charge. The current investment plan for 2024 has been completed at only 60%, which, with a profit of 90 million zloty, raises questions about the future of our production. The production of artillery munitions is now an absolute priority. The war in Ukraine shows that up to 10,000 such shells are being used daily, so the government should do everything to increase the volume of this essential ammunition in Poland. The problem is that the plan authored by the United Right government to strengthen artillery production, including the National Ammunition Reserve and a new ammunition factory in our country, landed in the trash after the Tusk coalition took power. 14 billion was to go for this strategic purpose, with ammunition purchases on the one hand, and on the other, building up production capacity, that is, expanding and building an ammunition factory. According to the Law and Justice government's project, a new factory for artillery ammunition of the largest calibers was to be built in southern Poland. More factories need to be built, especially in the west of our country. This is the right place to locate such factories. It is necessary to act, not to tell different stories. Tusk's government, the December 13th coalition government, is all talk and no action. Tusk's government, along with friendly media, first raised alarms about alleged scams in the Polish ammunition company being built with private companies and the alleged loss of state control over a strategic project. When it turned out that the case was stretching the truth, he quietly got rid of the shares. The country must be the factor that guarantees, secures and accelerates certain processes. And at this point, the exit of the state meant that the state was not interested in building this type of production capacity. Because an artillery ammunition manufacturer from the Podkarpacia region, Desamet, also has a problem, as it cannot ask for state assistance today. Decision-making processes have been so significantly prolonged that the fulfillment of the stated goals of increasing ammunition production capacity by, for example, Desamat in Nowa Dęba is in real danger. It seems that it is quite one thing to make promises to the public and quite another thing to implement them on the part of the Tusk cabinet. We are dealing with something absurd. We are talking about building an army of 500,000, and on the other hand, a diversion when it comes to munitions production. It just doesn't add up mathematically. This is a propaganda message and has nothing to do with reality. Donald Tusk is now arguing that the whole thing will be taken care of for us by the EU, and Brussels-backed programs that are supposed to make the EU safer. Unfortunately, experience with EU programs indicates that the EU may be more interested in supporting countries and producers that are dominant at the moment. EU sources or EU resources is unfortunately a long bureaucratic procedure, and even if there are decisions, the transfer of these funds to Poland and entry into the investment process will be several years, so we cannot rely on EU support in this regard. Because, according to the EU defence resolution supported by the Tusk coalition, Brussels is to take over decision-making on the defence of member states, including the implementation of joint purchases, with our neighbours from across the Oder River, of course. We must strengthen our arms industry. We must also protect our arms industry. Of this I have no doubt. And therefore we must also make sure that in the EU, with regard to decisions on security and defence, the principle of unanimity continues to apply. It seems that, contrary to words, the actions of the current government are unlikely to be conducive to building Polish defense capabilities. Bumar employees in Silesia protested against them today. We are protesting so that the production here will not be extinguished. We are anxious that the production line of the Krab, or cannon howitzer, which was promised and for which funds were provided, be launched. Unfortunately, somehow neither the supervisory board, the owner, nor the management board are taking action to make this happen, and this is an urgent matter. Instead, we have fine words and promises about improving the defense of Poland because, as a classic used to say, to promise twice is like keeping a promise once.